let me tell you this, athletes like Cristiano Ronaldo usually prioritize the recovery. And why? You know, one specific fact is actually, he used to, after his Champions League matches, he used to go to a training ground again and complete an hour full of recovery. And why is that, right? And today I just want to explain you 3 simple habits that continue to distinguish these pro athletes. So let's jump to it. So I was telling you before, the first one is actually prioritizing recovery, right? What Cristiano did was actually, some might call it obsession, whatever it is, but it was actually what requires to reach the top and stay for a long time. And primarily, what are the methods that can help you actually help your recovery, right? Things that have a different density that you are usually used to, like swimming, doing cryotherapy, the oxygen chamber. Not everyone can do it, but these are always examples, right? Also sleep, essentially the most important thing, right? Cristiano Ronaldo used to do almost 5 nap a day to make you understand how much is important. And the most simple stuff like cold bath and saunas, so even hot showers, right? Hot bath are essentially the things that are gonna help you the most. And I'm gonna be straight with you, the 80%, right, of the result that you are getting comes from the 20% of the things that you do. And what is about that 20%, right? Things like stretching, right? Foam rolling, 8 full hours of sleep, right? Really essential things. How you alimент yourself, your nutrition, what does it look like, right? So the best thing is about having 20 minutes of post-meal recovery after that. This is an ideal principle, but ideally speaking, I think like for the people I've talked to, at least 90 or 95% cannot do it, right? So what I would suggest you is actually focus on what actually can you eat. Are you eating as much protein, carbs, let's say all the variable things as colorful as you possibly be. Sunlight, this is something that a lot of people struggle with and didn't care at all, right? But how much is important to even get some sun on our skins, right? To perceive that it's daylight and that we can perform our best, right? So this thing is very natural and you should do it too, because as I said before, we used to do it like 2000 years ago, and are the same principle that applies even today. The second thing that I'm gonna explain to you is an intense personal sacrifice, right? So what my mean by so is that you can used to be tempting to go back to sleep, drink this or that, not get it up. And let me tell you this, reaching results and staying there at least for a period of time has nothing to do with the gimmicks or strange tactics, right? 99% of the time it has nothing to do with that, right? It all comes to the principle and how you handle with that. So at least resist the temptation, right? Avoid the social pressure. What I mean by so is that you have to understand what actually the pressure is. Like, we are social animals, right, as humans, so it's normal. We talk about each other in the backside or everything like that. It's normal, it happened, like it's where we're born, like, and it's going to happen again, right? So at least acknowledge that and make it on your bottom line. Of course, like, limit the consumption of alcohol, this or that. I personally don't drink alcohol, but I know a lot of you guys are there that are doing the party, this or that, and that at the end of the day, how much you can push for that for a period of time, right? And let me tell you this again about Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, people usually think that you have to train more, right, in order to get better, but the truth is like top athletes actually their recovery time outweighs the time they spend on the training part, right? So that's actually the biggest thing. And especially if you are in an age between 14 and 21, right, this should be the period where the most critical period of your athletic career. it was separate, being a child and being an adult in a period of time that, when I would say easily 90% of the people, or even 99, 97, right, thinks all about partying, this and that, about short-term pressure, right? This is an essential period, because at the end of the day, they're going to think about, getting a job or this or that. And when you're putting that extra more, right, you're gonna be rewarded for a lot of time. So how do you decide, if something is gonna be good for you or bad for you, right? Just ask, is this something that is gonna help me, right? Is something aligned to what I'm trying to achieve this year, over the period of 5 years, over the period of 10 years, right? It doesn't have to look like over the long term, right, every time. At the same time, asking simple stuff like, is it going to help? Is gonna break all the walls, all the mental barriers that you have? And don't overestimate the words that I'm saying to you, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's something is not enjoyable, why are you still doing it, right? Don't be total isolated from yourself, right? From other people, from doing stuff and activities that you actually enjoyed, right? Because that is gonna impact your performance, right? And how you train daily and how you perform. Okay, so the third habits that contradistinct and has immense unfair advantage to the athletes is their actual constant self-reflection, right? I always say data over words, right? You have to give yourself and study your moves, and at the end of the day have numbers, right? Wherever it's ranks, wherever is lunges, crosses, wherever stuff you do in your sport that you actually are doing. And this is nothing to do only just for your own performance, so for your own reflection. It has to do also with how you present to the others, right? If you have a contract, right, and you analyze yourself, is it going to help that kind of contract and strategy? Of course, right? And this is like the exact same thing that happened to numbers athletes like Lukaku, De Bruyne, and they actually get a raise, right? On the losses, right? Reflect on the wins too, right? The worst thing that you actually can do is actually being facing wins and don't understand what actually worked. So keep yourself accountable, right? Keep yourself intention before a practice. What are you about to do in that practice, right? Is it going to help the training, the competition that you are going to facing ahead, right? Just write it down. It's very simple. Just put a simple 1 minute timer and that's it. If you don't do it, it's not a problem. You do it the next day again. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to more know about it, click the link down below, and see you on that.